So, you feel like you're never going to break out of B2, don't you? My name is Sam and I'm an online English teacher who specialises in helping people make the B2 to C1 transition. Today, in this video, I am going to share with you everything that I have learned after making this transition myself and helping countless of my private students do it too. So if you are stuck in the B2 plateau and feeling frustrated or starting to feel helpless, then make sure to stick around until the end of the video. It might just be the start of your journey to C1. So, the differences between a B2 and a C1 speaker. What are they? Well, let's start off with the technical points. At C1, the ability to express complex ideas has improved greatly. A B2 speaker and a C1 speaker would likely be able to make the same point, but a C2 speaker would be a lot more logical and direct with how they make the point. A B2 speaker often moves around to get to the point, whereas a C1 speaker goes straight to it. And this can be seen in your grammar as well. A big difference I noticed between C1 speakers and B2 speakers is your conditionals, especially the second and the third conditional. At C1, the ability to use your conditionals has not only improved, but you begin to use them a lot more fluently and without any thinking. A C1 speaker also uses more advanced vocabulary, but, and this is the important point, at the right time. It's always really clear to me when somebody is forcing themselves to try and sound advanced, rather than just speaking naturally. But whilst these technical differences are important, there's another difference that, in my opinion, is much more influential. Flair and personality. C1 speakers of the language are far more experienced in it, and therefore they speak more confidently. They have spent so much time within the language that the stress barrier has now been broken. Their brain has developed sufficiently, and they are no longer forced to use all of their cognitive energy just to speak. This allows a C1 speaker to finally, fully be themselves. So now you actually know the differences between a B2 and a C1 speaker. How do you actually make the jump from B2 obscurity to C1 clarity? Well, come with me and find out. The answer is simple. It's mass amounts of input. The main principle should be to consume as much input as you possibly can. We are talking about hundreds and hundreds of hours here, so the amount of time you can commit to listening will materially change how fast you make progress. But the most important thing actually is about how we structure that input. Ideally, we want at least 1 hour of focused, comprehensible input every single day. This is a time where you are 100% focused, completely paying attention to what you are watching. You need material that is clear, understandable, and made for learners. That is how you start picking up some of the higher frequency, advanced vocabulary naturally. In my opinion, a great place to start would be our B2 podcast here on YouTube. I also think this is the level to start diving into native level content. I would recommend starting with casual or comedy TV shows that are between 20 and 30 minutes in length. The narratives are more condensed and therefore they are much easier to follow. These shows, in my opinion, give a much better exposure to some of the more subtle parts of English. Things like sarcasm and humour. Drama shows can be good as well, but I personally found them a little bit too cognitively demanding at this stage. Their plots were a little bit more complex and the way they spoke was a lot more serious. Another great strategy is lower level input for more tired moments. When your brain is exhausted after work, for example, consider dropping the difficulty level down a little bit. At that point, easier content actually helps you stay more consistent. Because it's slower and the vocabulary is easier, the language is less cognitively demanding for you, which means when you're tired, you can still understand it and therefore you still benefit from the exposure. And finally, you need regular contact with native speakers, especially native speakers around your age. This is so crucial for helping you develop the flair and your personality in the language. Mannerisms, idioms, slang, these all develop naturally, and your feel for conversations in the language, how they work, how they function, how they progress, it all develops naturally. But we need a quick reality check. C1 is not this magical place in the language where the language is suddenly super easy and you never have any problems ever again with it. As a C1 Spanish speaker, I still find that group conversations are difficult. I find I miss jokes and some of the more nuanced elements of the language. I make pretty regular grammar mistakes still. And I also find that when I'm tired or more stressed, my level drops significantly. There is no clear moment when you become a C1 speaker. People treat these categories as boxes that you can sort of jump in and out of, but reality does not work like that. The lines between the levels are blurry, and for a long time, you're going to feel like you're stuck in some sort of B2 purgatory, where the progress is real, but you just can't see it yet. Making this transition is a huge time commitment. We are talking about at least 1 hour a day for several months. As somebody who made the transition myself, I can tell you that it is grueling, it is hard, but it is definitely worth it. But I think the most valuable question to ask ourselves here is why? Why do I want to be a C1 speaker? If you have a good reason, then I think right now is that moment to make the commitment to yourself. So, there you have it. That is my honest advice on how to make the transition from B2 to C1. Being realistic is key to this whole process. Only you know if you are doing enough practice to see any real progress. You just have to, stay committed and keep picking up those daily victories. So, if this video helped you guys at all, please leave me a comment down below. As always, make sure to check out the English Sponge website and consider becoming an English Sponge premium member. We have over 80 premium videos ready right now for you guys to watch. Trust me, fantastic offer. Or if you would prefer to stay here on YouTube, why don't you start your C1 journey with the British Culture Podcast. My name is Sam, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.